Literary devices in New Tongue. New Tongue, a poem by Elizabeth Kamara, has embedded in it different literary devices. These devices enhance the depth and meaning of the poem. They also elicit an emotional connection to the subject of the poem and provide rhythm to the tone. The poem clearly identifies the disregard and unwillingness of the new generation to not let their native ways die. They have tied the new ways around themselves like the insides of clothes that marry the bodies of mankind. Lines 23 and 24. Now they no longer sing the old songs. The old songs have become as disregarded dreams, remnants of the past. Lines 6 and 7. Family and friendship bonds are broken, burnt, and the ashes strewn into the bottomless sea. Line 10. Kamara created vivid imagery to enable the reader to imagine the scenes described and used repetition to add texture. Here are some of the literary devices used in the poem New Tongue and a short discussion on each. Imagery. To capture the extent of the deviation from the original culture and the effects it has on the people, Elizabeth Kamara paints a picture of what it looks like and feels like. She describes the emotional detachment as a strange coldness descending like snow-covered mountains, and the ripping away of the culture she described as the gust of wind falling trees, cutting roofs away, tugging skirts, and swirling debris in the air. Stanza 4, lines 35 to 41. These descriptions are very relatable and paint a picture of what is going on and the accompanying feelings in the minds of the readers. Metaphor. Dance New Dances is used to capture the extent of deviation from the established social and cultural norms of the people. This wide gap in socio-cultural practices arises as the generation changes. Over time, everything has begun to appear new. Kamara also uses the metaphor of clothes turning inside out to show how the new generation has become focused on self and only cares about self-aggrandization. They are detached from the world and care little about the appearance and outcomes of this self-focus, disguised as individuality, with no care for culture, traditions, or African communal heritage. Repetition. The repetition of words in successive lines was used to add emphasis and depth to the message of the poem. Different types of repetitions were applied by the writer to achieve a certain rhythm in the poem. The types of repetitions used in the poem include Anaphora, that is, repeating a word at the beginning of successive clauses or phrases. The second is Epiphora, also known as Epistrophe, that is, repeating a word at the end of successive clauses or sentences. Here are some examples. Example of Anaphora, stanza 2, lines 14 to 19. A new generation, careless of bonds, of family, of tradition, of heritage, they care not. Epistrophe, example, stanza 4, lines 31 to 34. Every man for himself, by himself, of himself. Personification. Some non-human elements were given human qualities in the poem. This enhances the emotional depth of the poem, drawing in the reader and emphasizing the points. The gust of wind is said to cut away roofs and tug at skirts. Stanza 4, lines 38 to 41. Symbolism. In the poem New Tongue, Elizabeth Kamara uses symbolism to portray some themes. The new generation's abandonment of their tradition and culture is described as hanging the last lock as they glide into the future. without looking back. Stanza 5, lines 43 to 46. Their borrowed minds parted the Red Sea long ago. They hang the last lock on their culture and glide into the future without a backward glance. In conclusion, literary devices are used to enhance or elaborate on elements of a literary work. By using the literary devices discussed above, Kamara adds depth and meaning to the poem New Tongue in a way that elicits emotions and enhances engagement.